Let's bring in Jamal Abdi, who's president of the National Iranian-American Council, joins us now from Washington, D.C. Mr. Abdi, welcome to the program. So Iran adamant that this took place over Iranian territory, the United States saying it was international waters. What do you make of what's going on here?
This was entirely predictable. We saw the tensions escalating. We have seen, there's a chicken or the egg situation where it's unclear, is the U.S. the one provoking this? Is Iran provoking this? The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump, the Trump administration, put us on this path when he left the nuclear deal and began this maximum pressure campaign. Now, if we're going with a maximum pressure campaign, the United States needs to understand Iran is going to push back, and that's what we're seeing today. I think the debate about where the drone was misses the point that there's a broader policy problem here, and the two sides need to find a way to climb down, and I think that begins with Washington.
Okay, so yeah, it begins with Washington, but how? How will they enable a situation whereby they can try and extricate themselves from these tensions that are just ratcheting up all the time?
Well, you have a situation where it does not seem that Trump is coordinating with Bolton, is coordinating with Pompeo. It's disarray. It's unclear what is the real policy here. Based on what Donald Trump is saying, he wants to talk to Iran. And the Japanese prime minister actually met with the Iran supreme leader to convey this message. And I think that Iran sent a clear message back, which was that they're not going to negotiate under pressure. Iran views this as the United States accumulating leverage, and that if Iran goes into those talks, it will sort of do so under the barrel of a gun. And so what Iran is doing is escalating its own pressure to have its own leverage. We have seen this cycle repeat in the past. We saw this happen in the lead up to the nuclear talks between the United States and Iran. And what broke the cycle was, in that case, the United States realizing that this was heading towards war, and the off-ramp needed to be that the United States made a compromise. And in that case, it was on enrichment. In this case, it needs to be that maximum pressure is over. The United States will go back to the nuclear deal, and then the two sides can actually talk.
Do you think it's likely that Iran would have shot down this drone if it was outside its territorial waters?
I think it's possible. I definitely think it's possible. I think that Iran is testing what they can do in terms of provocations. I think that that is a credible argument. But I think they're doing so in a way to try to avoid, to have some deniability and to avoid giving the U.S. what I think Bolton and Pompeo want, which is an invitation for further retaliation and an escalation towards military action.
Right, and what about this explanation from Donald Trump that this was a mistake, it was some rogue general pressing a button?
Yeah, I don't know that he has a clear understanding of that. I think that may be possible. It may be something that was calculated. It may be that the drone briefly entered Iranian airspace. I think it's very likely that this drone did set off air defenses in Iran and was definitely a provocation. As to what the Iranian response is, I think regardless of whether this was highly calculated or if this was somebody sort of freelancing and testing what was possible, we do know that both sides are engaging in these provocations, and it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time before something like this or something even worse happens while they feel each other out.
Right. Well, Jamal Abdi, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much, Jamal Abdi, president of the National Iranian-American Council. Thank you.